Let's just start with what made you decide to apply here from Sioux City after all the time in Arizona?
First and foremost, the reason why I wanted to leave Arizona is I've got two young children. I've got a 9-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son. I come from a kind of an old school mentality of I really want to raise my kids in an area that they're going to grow up and raise their family so I can be grandpa at some point. So I wanted to look for an area that seemed to be in line with my values that I was raised with. And so I was getting to this point where they're getting older and I really needed to, make the move if I was going to make it. And so that's what prompted me to retire officially. I'm officially retired from there and find another area to go to. And so I get emails from International Association of Chiefs of Police almost daily that shows what police jobs are open around the country. And so I'd peruse through them and see, and of course a lot of them I don't want to live in those areas. And this one came up. I love the fact that this is considered the heartland of America. And so I researched. I had never been to Sioux City. I'd never actually been to Iowa, although I have traveled the country extensively. So I just researched, and I found this city appeared to really be in line with my values. I love the history here. I love the fact that, agriculture and meat production, two things that really made America great. I mean, that we're known for. We feed a lot of the world. The history of Lewis and Clark coming through here and things of that nature. The outdoor activities, you got a lot of trails for hiking, walking, biking, something that me and my family like to do. And so really in a nutshell, it just kind of felt like this is a good fit for me. Hopefully they feel the same way.
You're retired. Are you old enough to draw a pension?
Yes, so in Arizona, I was under the old system. The system changed in January of 2012. Now officers have to do 25 years, and I think there's an age limit too before they can draw a pension. I was under a system to where as soon as you hit 20, you could. I did almost 23, and so I was able to draw the pension, yes.
I asked the last candidate this as well. For 30 years, Sioux City Police Department has had a police chief that has came from Sioux City Police Department. You not being from here, are you taking that as a disadvantage to this community or taking that as an advantage?
Well, I guess I never looked whether it's disadvantage or advantage. I will say I do have a disadvantage coming here because I'm not from here. I'm not inculcated with the culture that's here. Now, of course, the culture, as I just mentioned, that's one of the things that's bringing me here. So, yeah, the disadvantage for me is to, I'm an outsider. So, I got to gain the trust and respect of not only the citizens, but the department as well. And so, yeah, that's my disadvantage. I hope nobody thinks that it would be a disadvantage of an outsider coming, other than, I mean, look, when you have somebody that's born and raised here, I mean, they know the place, they know the citizens, they know the culture. Yeah, that's ideal. Of course, I won't deny that. But when you got somebody that is coming here for those things that people love, that were born and raised here for, I think that's okay too. Maybe second best. I'll take second best.
Having a set of eyes outside of the local department could bring some new juice, as we say?
Yeah, so I think having experience, I worked for two different police departments. I only have almost 2 years with the Mojave County Sheriff's Office in Arizona first, and then I spent the rest of my career with Bullhead. So having worked for two different agencies, having intimate knowledge about a lot of different agencies, yeah, I think that is a bonus. I think that's a good thing because having an outside perspective, the grass is not always greener on the other side. And so coming in from the experiences that I had in those other organizations, maybe, I'm not saying that's true, maybe something's lacking here that I can bring that I experienced there to look at. Or sometimes, look, humans are fallible. So, you spend enough time in one area and, maybe you're not improving as much constantly as you should. Police departments need to constantly move forward. If you're sitting stagnant and not progressing, it's detrimental to the organization. And so, sometimes people are around too long, and I'm certainly not saying about the current chief. I met him this morning. He was a wonderful man. I'm just saying sometimes that is the case that, some new ideas can come in and make some things better.
What's your position on flock cameras, and what do you think about Flock Safe City?
Well, yeah, so I might be one of the few in law enforcement that's not completely sold on it. And my reason for that is, not that it's not a great investigative tool, because it's absolutely a wonderful tool. I worry about making sure that the proper safeguards are in place to make sure that people's constitutional rights are upheld, that privacy is not invaded more than it needs to be for the government needs in order to investigate crimes. So that's my stance on it. I'm okay as long as safeguards are in place and we're making sure that officers are doing what they're supposed to be doing, that nobody's abusing the system. But that's true with other technology as well, too. So it's not just about the flock system. I think about these things constantly, about technology as it emerges. Body-worn cameras walking into somebody's house. I think body-worn cameras are great, but you have some things that you need to really think about. When you're walking into somebody's house, there may be some private things that are coming on the video. You want to make sure your redaction's done properly before video's released. So it's just emerging technology that's how I feel about it. So you just want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. And the big thing is getting your citizens' input about what they want. If they're adamantly opposed to something, you really need to consider that.
How dealing with the homeless has become a bigger deal in the last several months, including with our city council. There's been an effort just to try to get them off the street as far as by council order. What's it been like down in your part of the country as far as dealing with homeless? Just as far as they're almost acted upon as a nuisance here recently.
Yeah, so I'll just give you a quick bit of history to tell you how we got to where we were in Bullhead City in Arizona. We were sitting in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals District, and there was a case back in 2018, a Boise case, that basically really tied law enforcement's hands on what they could or couldn't do, and I won't go into the details of the case, but all the experts back then were saying, oh, nothing you can do, and that's when homeless issues started popping up a lot, and encampments in towns and stuff like that. Well, now you got a balancing act between the citizens that live and work there too, and they don't want to have the interference of we've fielded a lot of complaints about usually mothers. Hey, I don't even want to take my kids to the park. I'm afraid we got these homeless people here. As my Christian upbringing, look, I sincerely love and care about people. Okay, I'm commanded to do that by my Lord and Savior. And, so I take a compassionate approach to it. You can't just arrest people, because that's not going to solve the problem. You can't just offer treatment and then nobody ever accepts it. I used both approaches. So we would come out, we would offer the services in town that we had, and we had quite a bit in Bullhead City, whether it's mental health, substance abuse, the homeless shelter. And we would offer it to them and say, here, this is the services we've got. Let's get you over there. Unfortunately, what you find in law enforcement is, at least all the cops I've ever talked to, it's not just in my area, is a lot of them don't want to get out of their situation. And that's very unfortunate. It's heartbreaking, actually. So we would go off the services, and then ultimately, if they didn't want to take them, if they're in violation of city ordinance, then you got to enforce the law. You have to. My city manager was taking a lot of heat when I first got appointed, when he first appointed me chief, because the citizens were upset about what was going on. And so I read the case that we were still under at that time. I went to the city manager. I said, hey, there's a lot we can do here. And we came up with this compassionate approach. And I think it suited us well. We treat people with dignity and respect. I don't care if you're homeless or not, you're still a human being. And then ultimately, if you're violating the law, then we're going to enforce that too.
Community policing, a big thing. Last night was National Night Out, and we do a lot of things like that year-round here. Are you used to that?
Oh, yes, sir. So I always thought Bullhead did a pretty good job, but I thought we could do it better. So when I became chief, I really expanded our community policing role. We ended up doing somewhere around 200 events a year. Now that could be small one-on-one or group meetings or something like that, but we also did National Night Out. We did Walk Away from Drugs. We did Read Across America, so we'd get into the schools and read to school children. So much so that in 2024, International Associations of Chief of Police TV contacted me. I didn't seek them out, and they said they recognized what we were doing in the community for our community outreach, and they wanted to come highlight us. Every year at the National IACP conference, they highlight about 24 agencies for various reasons. Well, they wanted to highlight us for our community outreach. So they came to town, They videotaped. We put on some events that we would normally do at different times of the year, but since we had to do it right there. So we put on a couple of different events that we do. They filmed it, made a great video, and we were highlighted at IACP Boston in 2024. Along with 23 other agencies. It was really fantastic. For me, I'm generally a humble guy, but I was pretty proud of that one.
Are you familiar with Sioux City Police Department's approach of teen community policing?
Yes, I talked to Chief a little bit about that this morning. Apparently, you used to have a unit solely dedicated to that, and that kind of went away because of funding, if I remember correctly. And so they came up with the idea of the whole entire department supposed to be a community officer. Whenever I hired people in Bullhead, I would always have a sit down with everybody we hired to give my philosophy, and that's one of the things that I touched on. Look, here in America, man, we are so blessed. We are so blessed with the freedoms and liberty that we have. And, you know, our founding document, the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson said that governments are instituted among men deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That is a powerful statement that I think gets overlooked sometimes. Consent of the governed. You citizens consent to the power and authority that we have. And we need to be very cognizant of that. And so my philosophy is everyone in the department is a community service officer, from the front desk clerk to, you know, the chief of police. And so that's just the philosophy that I live by.
So would you continue using an approach like that if you were hired?
Oh, yes. Yes, very much so.
You've spoke about retirement already. How long, if you were hired, would you plan on staying here in Sioux City?
Well, I just turned 49 in May, so I still feel young. I don't feel 49, if whatever that may feel like. I feel like I've got a lot to give. I always thought once I got out of my burnout phase and got past that, I always thought I would like to do 30 years. So I've done just over 22, just shy of 23, what I would have to look at the actual months. I think I've got another 7, 10, maybe even 12 years left in me.
Do you think if a gender discrimination lawsuit was filed against a finalist for a law enforcement position, would that person be disqualified for that?
Just filed? Is that what you're asking? If a gender discrimination lawsuit filed against somebody? No, I don't think that's, on its face, I don't think it's disqualifying. No, not at all. I think everybody has a right to be heard, have an investigation done, and determine the facts of it. Unfortunately, what you do see in law enforcement is sometimes there are false allegations made against other citizens from citizens or against cops, citizens. Of course, sometimes they're very legitimate. But everybody deserves to have the things investigated and find out what the facts are. And then whatever the facts are, then you make your determination there. But no, on its face, no. I mean, you know, look, in the law enforcement profession, lawsuits get filed a lot that turn out to be, you know, little to nothing sometimes very serious, right? But that's why you need an investigation to really determine.